Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 21 of season 2 of our F123 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. It's time for the Brazilian Grand Prix, our final sprint weekend of Season 2. Of course, we do a lot of sprints late on in the campaign on F123. So today, yeah, hopefully as we head into Interlagos, we've done pretty well in the last few weekends. We've scored good, consistent points. If you missed out yesterday's video from Mexico, would highly recommend going back and checking it out, of course. And yeah, with 3 rounds to go, there is still a lot to play for in the championship. We've got the last remaining upgrades I can do, excluding durability, going onto the car at the moment. We're probably going to have to just stagnate a little bit in the last couple of races, of course, and prepare ourselves for some facility upgrades ready for Season 3. But championship-wise, Max Verstappen, a 38-point lead over George Russell in the championship fight there. Charles Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton, and Carlos Sainz all still have mathematically got a chance at the crown still, but yeah, I can't help but feel that those bottom 4 are going to be knocked out of it this weekend. It looks like it's going to be Russell versus Verstappen. We're pretty much now safe in both championships. 4 points, the gap between us and Oscar Piastri, so I could still finish best of the rest. But Aston Martin are way ahead of us in the Constructors' battle there. So 7th in the Drivers, 5th in the Constructors seems to be the goal at the moment. 47 points between Mercedes and Red Bull as well. So yeah, there is a lot to fight for in these final few weekends. Taking some grid penalties here as well, so we're going to be starting the main event slightly lower down. But anyway, let's head into it though. Brazilian Grand Prix. Well, one final new gearbox then going into the car come the end of Season 2. I mean, gearbox durability on this game is not particularly great, especially in the early seasons. I would be interested to know later on if we can actually try and keep it below the penalty threshold, but yeah, jumping into a fuel-saving run then, first of all, this weekend. It's very ragged through the center S for the first time. That's one way to kickstart. Rounding our way out the final corner, though. You can see fuel there up in the green. We might be able to try and get it a bit closer to the purple, but I don't think so first time round. A little bit dicey, especially through the first couple of corners. Been 12 hours or so since I last played F123, but second time round, this time I reckon we can go for purple.
The rain's a few lap outs yet, but it is coming, so be careful.
Okay, rain apparently on the way as well, so got to be careful of that later on in the session. And out the final corner up towards the line then, but letting the throttle, try and make sure we get the purple. There we go, purple score. A good way to kickstart. Sunny skies then here for a Friday afternoon qualifying session, and well, yeah, it's safe to say that we've been making Q2 a lot towards the end of Season 2. Really did feel like we kind of went through that European slump midway through the campaign, but felt like we've been able to fight back and actually find our feet once again here on F123, which has been really reassuring to see. But can we try and make another Q2 this weekend? You can see now how much immediately we're trying to push through the first couple of corners. I would love to make Q3 again. Like I said, I don't think we have since our pole position all the way back in Imola, but ultimately, the top few teams have just had such ridiculous pace. It's been very difficult to really compare and stack up to them. But, all eyes, I think, now really on the battle at the top of the championship. Will Verstappen be able to slowly start eliminating rivals and only have to focus? It could be that we leave here and Verstappen only has to focus on George Russell. I mean, we could leave here and Max Verstappen be world champion if things really went his way this weekend, but not going to hold my breath and assume that one's going to be the case just yet. Verstappen, of course, we know, bottled Season 1 of this career mode. Really did allow Charles Leclerc to come back at him, but out of the final corner, though, at Jung Sao to finish off my first qualifying lap. It's been a pretty tidy one, pretty decent. We were half second up, I think, on Zhou Guanyu come the sector split. I'm going to remain half second up there. P11, okay. That was much better than I was expecting. And there we go. Out of Q1 in just a single run there. I think that might be the first time we've been able to do that this season. without having to go out for a second time. So that means now in Q2 we get 2 bites at the cherry which is always reassuring. So going to really give it our all on both of these laps then, just to try and see what sort of pace we can get. We need to be trying to get into the 7s if we want to be making Q3. There is a big snag of the brakes down at 1, but we allow the car to rotate in through the apex, which is nice. So let's just really get our sweat on. 7/10 up then on Alex Albon's pace come the end of Sector 2. So this could be a ridiculously good lap. We know that Williams will gain a bit of time back at the final corner, but up towards the start-finish line then. This first lap's been an absolute worldie, apparently. 7.9 puts us P10 there, 2 tenths away from Charles Leclerc. Right, well, getting ready then to start our final lap here in Q3. Other cars, I don't know whether they're starting as well or coming towards the end of a run. I think they're coming towards the end of their laps. No, sorry, they must just all be starting them, mustn't they? So this is going to get very, very tight then. We've got a lot of cars that are really in this squabble for Q3. A 3/10 gap up to Kevin Magnussen in front of me. So I think really we're actually trying to fight for 10th place with the likes of Lando and Oscar Piastri behind myself. That decent run out of the CNRS. Half a tenth down, but that's okay. Need to try and get this lap fully hooked up there as well. A little bit deep on the brakes. Down in towards turn 4. They're going to compromise me slightly as we head up into the bowl. Down the 1 gear on entry. Oh, we nicked the grass on the outside. That's going to compromise me as well. Don't let this lap come undone before it's really even started, Matt. 10th and a half back as we wind our way through the middle sector. Just got to keep it clean and make sure now we're way down. So unless I nail it, I mean, we'll go full send through the final couple of corners. We're still in 10th. No, there we go. Oscar Piastri knocking me down into the drop zone as we make our way out of the final corner. Using all the curbing, but it's not going to make a difference. We're getting jumped by everyone. Albon's gone quicker. Piastri's gone quicker. But Lando Norris has gone quicker as well. But out of the final corner, I think we're going to line up P13. That hurts a bit. And there we go, having a look at our final results there. Russell fastest ahead of Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen coming into Q2. Alpine looking incredibly racy as well. But yeah, I feel like those last 3 tenths were going to be difficult to find there. Could have got the jump on Piastri and Albon, but it's P13 on the grid ready for the sprint race here. We have got a lot of work to do.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Gasly, Norris, Ocon, Magnussen, Albon, Oscar Piastri, Mr. Monaco, Tsunoda, Stroll, Bottas, Théo Pourchaire, Joe, De Vries, Liam Lawson, Hulkenberg and Logan Sargent. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
Right, here we are then, trackside for the Brazilian GP sprint race. 12 laps ahead of us. Team really do want us to go on the soft compound tyres this weekend, but I'm going to ignore them. I'm going to go on to the mediums anyway. Just feel like it's a safer choice for us at the moment. Mercedes right at the front of the field there, but Max Verstappen nestled in second place. This is going to be a big, big weekend for Formula 1. Verstappen, like I said, could walk away as world champion if George Russell has a bit of a nightmare, but it could very easily go down to the wire as well. Well, lining up then, ready on the grid for the Brazilian GP sprint race, taking a bit of a gamble by using the medium compound tyres, but often we've seen the AI be quite unpredictable on the starts here. One of the only F1 circuits with actually quite a big uphill gradient to start the lap from pretty much every position. But ready then on the grid, 5 red lights for 12 laps here at Brazil. Lights out, and away we go. And look at that, we've actually done very, very well off the start. Straight past 1, 2, and maybe even 3 as we head down in towards the first corner. Verstappen, those had a nightmare down to 6th place. So that's going to leave Mercedes 1 and 2 as they round their way through the first couple of corners. Perez going wheel to wheel with Lando Norris, but we've made up 3 places then off the start, straight up into 10th place. There is Ocon will head down the Escudo de Lago in hot pursuit of the Red Bull in front of him. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really convinced points are going to be possible in the sprint race today, but we're certainly going to try it if an opportunity opens up for us. I don't quite know whether it's Hamilton or Russell at the front of the field. Of course, we'll get confirmation of that come the end of lap 1, but surely Mercedes now have got to start saying, look, Lewis, this isn't your year. George has got to be the priority at the moment. You know, maybe use Hamilton as a bit of a rear gunner for him in the proper race as well tomorrow. But yeah, Verstappen, even down behind his former teammate Pierre Gasly, well, I'm not convinced he'll make his life any easier for him unless he absolutely has to there. But out of Jung Sao, then we've survived lap 1. We've made good progress up the order. But Max Verstappen can absolutely not say the same thing. Is it Hamilton? Is it Russell leading the way come the end of lap 1? It is Lewis Hamilton then, has always gone well around this Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. Shades of 2021. And let's not forget, of course, this has even bigger ramifications for Red Bull versus Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. The last sprint weekend we had at Kota, of course, Mercedes got a 1-2 and maximum points from the entire weekend. And they really did carve down the gap to Red Bull. Of course, the sprint race has not that many points available. But even if they outscore them by another 5 or 6, maybe even more than that, it could be massive for them as Ferrari. Doesn't really help us as he's behind us, but cheers, Mark. Yellow's out. Someone's got issues. It's a car behind me, though. I think it might be a Haas. Is that Sir Lance then pulling over to the wayside here in the sprint race Saturday, or is it the other Haas? It is Teo Porcher, my former teammate, out of the sprint, and another Ferrari power unit issue. What is happening to them late on this year? Actually getting quite a decent run on Esteban Ocon out of the final corner. The AI, very, very good top-end speed here at Interlagos. It's always you just about get to them by the time you reach the braking zone, and we're not even going to do that this weekend as, well, yellow flags out still, of course, for Teo Porcher's stricken car, which has now been removed. But yeah, Ocon almost losing the DRS range to Sergio Perez in front of him, so that could leave him vulnerable to us. So I think Verstappen now as well, trying to actually go for a move on Pierre Gasly, slots back in. But yeah, I mean, really, he's locked into a 5th place at best here, unless something crazy happens at the front. Well, the battle between Verstappen and Gasly really is heating up at the moment, and hopefully it's going to allow me to get a run on Esteban Ocon. Feel like the grip is starting to work in our favour now. As you can see, Ocon desperate to defend the inside as we head back up towards Turn 1 there. Beautiful DRS zone here at Interlagos. You know what? The Frenchman's only gone and done it. Whoa! Big snap of oversteer there out of the first couple of corners. Going to have to try and rejoin the circuit very much rallycross style. So we kept our foot in, though. That was probably quite brave in hindsight. But yeah, that was a bit scary. Going to give up, though. Ocon definitely starting to struggle more and more in that Alpine. Down the inside. Yeah, I think we'll... No, apparently he's given the place up. Okay. Definitely felt like I gave him more of an opportunity to get back past me there off the corner. But you know what? If a touring car style move is the move we got to go for, then a touring car style move is the move you'll have. I'm going to take, you know, I'm going to try and give myself a little bit of credit there in saying that it's Ocon that I did it to, so it's okay. As Verstappen and Gasly again, I think this time around Verstappen has finally found a way past the Alpine. I think, yeah, those soft tyres are really starting to fall off for a lot of cars here late on in the afternoon. Are we potentially going to be able to relegate Perez out of the sprint race points at the moment, as we're really leaning on him? And look at the grip we've got off the corner. Traction has been absolutely fantastic in this car over the last couple of GPs. Round the outside. Mark loving it, but it's not done yet, as now Lando Norris might be able to break out of the DRS window. Sergio Perez there just about gets back in front of myself. We'll both have the DRS, though, as I'm going to switch to the inside off the corner, and surely as we head back up towards Turn 1, this can be a done deal. Down the inside, we'll go careful not to lock the inside front, and we're now up into the points then of this sprint. And I'll be honest, I thought once we made it up into 10th at the start, that was going to be it. We were just going to sit there, but apparently not. We've got good pace. Out of the final corner, though, Lando Norris now still just in front of me. 3 laps to go of this sprint race, and yeah, this one has certainly been a lot more dramatic than the one at Kota, to be honest. Yeah, the Kota race was quite boring on the whole, hence why the video was pretty much the length of a normal My Team video, despite the fact we had the sprint race involved. But are we going to be able to find a way around Lando? Are we going to potentially see Pierre Gasly struggle as he loses the DRS to Verstappen? Yeah, the Dutchman spent far too long fighting them. Ferrari and Mercedes have sailed off. Right, come on then, little Lando Norris. Let's try and get a run on the Brit as we head out of the final corner. Gaining. I don't know if Gasly's actually got the DRS off of Verstappen in front. I think he has just about. Either that or some ridiculous straight line speed, but can we try and get the power down out of turn 2? We're really trying to balance on the throttle. Team's starting to worry a little bit about the tyres. Are we going to be able to get a run down the Escudo de Lago? We'll look to the inside of Lando Norris, but again, won't be able to find a way around him there as the McLaren struggles to put the power down, kicking the back end out slightly as we head into the bottom of the bowl, but that is absolutely not the line there. Luckily, you can gather it up on the exit. The traction on F123 would allow you to take that alternate line. It's not as fast, but certainly a good saver. But thought about it. Not going to try and do the same move I did on Esteban Ocon a couple of laps ago, but can we try and get the throttle down and get all over the back of Lando as we head down the hill? You can see the McLaren trying to use his battery to stay in front there and just nick the grass out of Zhou Sao. That's going to compromise my line off the corner. Lando's still going to have the DRS off of Pierre Gasly in front of him, so we're going to have to go full attack mode now as we start the final lap of this Brazilian GP sprint. I think it's still Lewis Hamilton who leads the way, but both Mercedes and both Ferrari cars just want to take points out of Verstappen, keep their own championship hopes alive there. Through the centre S we go for the final time here on Sprint Race Saturday, and Lando Norris now starting to use a bit more of his battery. We need to focus on trying to get a good run out of the final corner there, be all over his gearbox, or at least try and find an avenue to get him out of the DRS range of Pierre Gasly in front. But look at that, Lando Norris clearly has saved a bit of battery there. The power he had going up the hill, like nothing I've seen before so far this afternoon. So you can just see struggling a little bit, fighting with the rear end of the car. I think it might only be P8 that we can get here, but we have battled this one right to the bitter end. Lando Norris, see, we're starting to struggle a little bit on the tyres. We've really taken everything out of them. Perez has dropped back horrendously late on in the day, and again just nicked the grass as we head out of the final corner. I think it's Lewis Hamilton that is going to win Sprint Race Saturday here at Interlagos, but out of the final corner, Mercedes get yet another one too, but we will take the solitary point from this sprint.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Let's have a quick look at how the driver standings have changed. This result then narrows the gap between our championship leader and the rest of the standings. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, goodbye.
Well, there we go then, the end of Sprint Race Saturday, and Verstappen needed to try and take points out of 5 drivers today, and 4 of them were able to outscore him in the sprint. I'm sure Sainz, Leclerc, Russell and Hamilton are all going to be working together come the main event tomorrow. They're championship-wise 35 that gap down to. 78 points now available though. It's all over for Carlos Sainz. He is out of the championship battle. Verstappen would need to win and hope that George Russell comes, I think, 8th or lower come the main event tomorrow. But yeah, Carlos Sainz, the battle has gone from 6, it is now down to 5.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and just 4 years later, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. That gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Verstappen, Gasly, Norris, Perez, Ocon, Magnussen, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Mr. Monaco, Tsunoda, De Vries, Bottas, Liam Lawson, Joe, Hulkenberg, Sargent, Stroll and Théo Pourchaire. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Well, here we are then, ready for the Brazilian GP main event. Starting P13 once again, a bit of deja vu in that regard there. But tyre wear hung on pretty nicely in the sprint race yesterday, so I'm tempted to try and go. We could try and go soft, medium, soft. Could be worth a bit of a gamble, actually. I think, you know, Brazil's pit lane not actually that long. So, yeah, definitely think that could be the way to go today. We can really just push on all three sets of the tyres there and see if we can try and make it back. But Verstappen's been given a little bit of a lifeline. Hamilton bumped down to P10, ready for the main event. Whether that's just to give George Russell free access at the front of the field to try and put away, we will wait and see. Then on the grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix, waiting on those 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go there as Ocon going nowhere. Apparently neither is Kevin Magnussen, so we're immediately going to slot up into 9th place there. Hamilton getting a good start as Verstappen also getting a bit of a whirly there. 3 wide with Lando Norris and George Russell through turn 2, as that's going to leave a huge concertina and up behind them. One of the Ferraris has broke free. That's Charles Leclerc at the front of the field, as suddenly we go down the inside of Checo Perez. So we made 5 places up in the sprint race yesterday. We've already done that in the main event on Sunday. There is Gasly struggling a little bit as we head down the hill, but Hamilton and I both flying off the getaway here as Verstappen all the way up to P3 then. So clearly very, very aggressive in trying to move past George Russell there off the start this afternoon. But Charles Leclerc, of course, he's not out of the championship fight just yet. Currently with a good 2-second lead there as Lando Norris up to P2. So a mega start by our fellow Brit there early on. But of course we know today on the aggressive 2-stop strategy, we need to try and push early on here if we want to make our way around some of the other cars that we would be squabbling with. And Pierre Gasly is definitely going to be one of those cars there, as out of the final corner Charles Leclerc leads the way there. We've got 4 cars from 4 different teams making up our top 4. Hamilton a blinding start as well, up to P6, and we're up to P8 then, as look to the outside of Pierre, back in towards the first corner. Nothing going to happen there. Can we get a run though off of the Senna S? Of course we've got a bit of a tyre advantage early on today, and surely we're going to be able to swoop past him. He's going to try and squeeze me as we head down the Esquina del Lago there, but just not enough high-end torque as Gasly swoops to defend the inside again. Will he be able to put the power down as Hamilton looking like he's going to try and pull off a move on Carlos Sainz there to the outside of Gasly as we head up the hill. Around the outside we'll go of Pierre Gasly there. A ballsy but brave move, and that has been pretty much the dream start we could have asked for here. 6 places made up on the opening lap and a sector. I think Verstappen trying to make a move then on Lando Norris early on here. Needs to try and move his way to the front of the field. He did showcase good pace yesterday when he finally found his way around Pierre Gasly there. But again, Lando Norris is going to make his life difficult as they head up the hill. And I think, no, there we go. I think Max has made it work this time around. Lando Norris will have to slot in behind him. But yeah, we're just trying to latch onto this train then in the battle for P2. But will we see Lando fall back? Or will he be able to hang on to the coattails of the Dutchman? So that was not the line through there, but somehow we hang on to it. That was scary. So yep, Verstappen then already pulling away. George Russell now has found his way around Lando Norris, and I'm sure Lewis Hamilton will be trying to do the same there as we head down the Esquina del Lago. So Russell now in hot pursuit of the Dutchman. This has big, big championship ramifications as we head into the final couple of races as to whether he can make it work or not. But Hamilton, I mean, he's had a mega start to this GP, of course. Has basically worked his way back to where he should have been off of qualifying. Of course, took the win on Sprint Race Saturday up to P5 again, but Verstappen is a man on a mission. Hamilton now to the inside of Lando, so it really was early race heroics from the McLaren car there, but he just has not quite got the pace we know or the car to really keep up with these boys as Hamilton's made it by. I think Lewis will even have the DRS as well off the corner, so Lando Norris going to be under even more pressure. Carlos Sainz, his former teammate there, down around the outside, and how can we try and use this to our advantage? There's almost banging wheels there off of the corner. Who's going to be able to get the run? I've just sat watching as these two are going to go side by side up the hill. No, they're not, and Lando Norris is going to lose 3 in the space of 5 corners as we get down the inside as well. Sainz, I feel, is struggling to match Lewis's pace. But yeah, really our top 4 then already kind of just stagnating out a bit. Russell in hot pursuit of Max. If he can get in the DRS, that could work beautifully. Oh, yellow's out. Someone's got issues. I think it's a car behind me, though. Yeah, I think it's the Alpine of Esteban Ocon pulling over. Oh, here we go. Sainz down the inside of Hamilton at turn 4. That's all getting a little bit close for comfort. And again, how can we try and sit and give ourselves a bit of an advantage here? It's amazing that's not a safety car, to be completely honest. As all Hamilton will hang on for now as I almost run into the back of Carlos Sainz and get acquainted with his gearbox. But we will make it through. But yeah, Hamilton losing pace to those top 3. Are we potentially seeing this being the moment Hamilton gets knocked out of that title? Team want us in at the end of this lap. We have absolutely taken everything out of this set of soft compound tyres early on, and we've been quite lucky the fact we've been able to build a gap over Pierre Gasly behind us. Because of course we're effectively just trying to hang on to these front 5 at the moment. Perez having an absolute nightmare weekend in the second Red Bull car, but Verstappen trying to do everything he can to offset the points deficit that the Mexican might leave them with. But Russell is looking like he's slowly bringing that gap down. It's not by a lot each lap, but it does seem to be coming down. He just needs to get in the DRS, and then Verstappen is going to be a little bit stuck. However, also intrigued to see what the pace of Charlie Boy is going to be like at the front of the field. You know, could have won the Mexican Grand Prix last weekend had we not been so utterly OP. But yeah, will we see Charles Leclerc back on top in Formula 1 again? Of course, it doesn't really look like he's going to win a world championship this year, but I say that, you know, if he wins this one, depending on where Max finishes, he's not out of it just yet. So we head out of the final corner, though, into the pit lane. Try and get it stopped just about. That was scary. Into pit lane now. I'm hoping, to be honest, we come out in a bit of clear air at the rear of the field, because I wouldn't mind trying to undercut Lewis and Carlos here, of course, because effectively now, you know, we're racing all of these cars to the end of the Grand Prix. Everyone has got one more stop to do today. As are we going to come out? We're going to come out at the back of the field, but not that far behind. Pretty much actually alongside the hat of Teo Porcher. As we make it out of the pit lane, just trying not to make sure we hit the wall. We might get a couple of laps of clear air. We've got 2 seconds up to Teo. But of course, yeah, we're going to close in before all these guys pit. Or at least I hope we are. Immediately then we're inside the DRS range of Teo Porcher. I'd expect the soft compound runners to be going 15, 16 laps around the venue. But we have got a lot of work to do that second half of this race if we want to make this strategy work. And that is going to involve a lot of overtaking as all over Teo Porcher's gearbox down through the first couple of corners. I mean, we've got so much more grip, but have we got much more top-end speed? Going to use the battery, heel to the inside, and look at that side-by-side with Porcher. We've got a lot of extra braking performance, maybe too much extra braking performance, as we almost go straight into the back of Zhou Guanyu. Look at that grip we've got round the outside of Zhou there at the top of the hill. It's kind of insane how much more speed we can carry into the corners. Hulkenberg up next. I mean, how? How are they that slow off of the turns? That's what I want to know. Careful that we don't nick the grass and just have to slot back in behind the AlphaTauri, but we'll get the power down off the corner. And that'll be another one ticked off then. So 3 places gained on this lap. We need to get to the front of this train ASAP. At Stroll then, I overtook one Haas down the Esquina de Lago last lap. More than happy to try and do it again there, as he will also have the DRS. Stroll going to try and put up a bit more of a fight though than his teammate did, but around the outside there, avoid wheel-to-wheel contact with the Canadian, and now try and get a run on Logan Sargent. Can we do the same thing we did to Zhou Guan Yu? A little bit of contact. We run to the back of him slightly, but just so slow there. We somehow get away with no front wing damage, but we make another place as Liam Lawson, our teammate, up next then. I mean, look at this. It's like we're racing Formula 2 cars. At the moment, the grip that we've got, the speed advantage that we have, around the outside of our teammate. Next up, Bottas. As we head out of the Center S once again, though. I mean, Tsunoda's probably going to be trying to get a run on Nick de Vries there as well. I mean, that's just Bottas defending in a nutshell, isn't it? Sees a car near him and just immediately jumps out of the way. I love Valtteri, but yeah, that seems to have kind of summed him up there. As fantastic run down the hill. Yuki Tsunoda trying to defend. Whoa, that was a bit scary there. Yuki just moving around a bit more than I was expecting. So now we're behind the former AlphaTauri duo. Around the outside we'll go. We'll have the inside for the next corner, and there we go, slotting past him. Nick de Vries in the McLaren. Can we have a look at the inside now? I thought better of that. So I think Nick potentially just a bit scared there, but we will out-traction him on the exit. Round the outside we'll go. And it's like they're stood still at the moment. Back to P12 then of this GP. There's cars peeling into the pit lane. So that's slightly earlier than I was expecting for a few drivers. So they are trying to do quite a long stint on the mediums. But have we been able to work an undercut in our favour there? Which Red Bull is it that's pit? It is Max Verstappen, who is currently also claimed fastest lap bonus point, and I think we are definitely going to be closest to the Dutchman on pit exit. We're not quite going to be in the range, but we're going to be close. There we go, George Russell, next one to blink into the pit lane at the end of 16. So the Mercedes, of course, might lose out a bit of time to Max Verstappen. In fact, we might actually get in the way in their little squabble at the moment as we head out of the Center S. And yeah, it looks like George has actually lost quite a bit of time to Max through the pit cycle there. He's going to have fresher tyres to the end, but just going that one lap longer might really have cost him. Charles Leclerc heading back out of pit lane. He should surely still be in the lead of this race, but Verstappen is pushing like crazy at the moment to try and close that gap down. So he's going to be close between Leclerc and Verstappen. I think the Dutchman's done it. Max Verstappen to the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix here. So that, I mean, clearly showing the kind of pace and tenacity that he's got still. But Charles Leclerc is going to have a much easier time of it on his tyres towards the end and might be able to get back in the DRS range. George Russell all over the back of me. I'm not looking to try and hold him up in the second half of this race. I'm sure we're going to see George Russell fly past me now, though, as we head out of the final corner. And like I said, it's not really a fight I want to partake in at the moment. Don't want to try and get in the way of the championship battle. So George Russell even will wave you by. Got our own battles to focus on. I mean, if we can hang in his DRS for a few laps, that would be nice. But yeah, we really want to monitor the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen at the front, because we could end up with a three-way scrap here. Those two start fighting. George Russell could get in. There we go. George Russell now, new fastest lap of the day as well. So all three of our top drivers trade in the times. But I reckon out of all of them, Russell even is the one with the ultimate pace. It just depends on how much he and Charles battle. I'm studying the mini-map at the moment. It's safe to say Lewis Hamilton is really screwing me over here. Looking at that gaggle of cars behind him, and he's kind of dragging them all along. We're going to probably box the end of lap 25, and of course take those softs right the way through to the end of the GP. But yeah, Hamilton is just dragging that whole gaggle of cars along, and really compromising any chance I've got at some good points. Yeah, I think we have definitely taken a bit too much out of these mediums, though. This stint's starting to lose out quite a lot of time there, as Hamilton finally has broken free from Lando Norris. So I can only hope those gaggles now just battle with each other. But yeah, Mark spot on, boxing in at the end of this lap. I mean, a safety car now would be perfect. Sykes now has finally got inside the DRS range of myself, but I'm looking at the mini-map and thinking we should be out ahead of Nick de Vries in this Grand Prix, as we were good on pit entry first time round. We're even better that time, a little bit safer on the pit entry. But yeah, it's going to be a big push to try and get back up inside the points later on in the day. Looks like the gap between our top three has started to neutralise, but I'm expecting Leclerc to come on strong late on in the afternoon, as what is the gap going to be to the likes of Magnussen and Albon late on here. We need to push on pit exit any time now. Could be very, very important as we head out of pit lane. Gap's going to be probably about 8-9 seconds, maybe a little bit more. So a second a lap between now and the end, definitely doable. And now looking at the mini-map, now Hamilton's broke free. Kind of pandemonium is breaking out as all those cars trying to gain time on each other. The DRS strain no longer as effective as it once was. So 5 seconds already, the gap down to between Albon and myself. This is not over. Oh, even better, new fast lap of the day.
0.9 seconds.
That gives us a little bit of extra motivation, and the bonus point could come in handy as I think Charles Leclerc now is in the range of Max Verstappen, so all hell is about to break loose at the front of the field. But it looks like, I think that's Gasly, isn't it, has broken out of this train as well. Albon losing out quite badly, so he is gonna be soon overtaken. And Albon then with no DRS to defend himself either. This should be quite an easy move then with a bit of luck. We know that Williams is quick down the straights, but no DRS or anything. Surely this one's going to be a done deal there, as to the outside of the Williams as we start lap 29. Purple final sector again, of course, aided by that DRS, but we get it slowed down there. Tries to have a look down the inside off the corner, but we're up another place. It does seem like Lando Norris has spent all weekend, whenever we've been talking about it, he's been losing places to other cars, but down the inside we'll go. And now, I mean, the McLaren was running P2 on lap 1, and it doesn't even look like he's going to score come the end of today. Horrible way for the McLaren to fall out of favour this afternoon. But Magnussen, I think he's only just going to have the DRS off Perez in front of him. Is that going to stop me trying to get a run, though, on the Aston Martin out of the final corner? No, it's not. To the outside, I mean, we've got much more grip on these tyres. Surely we can outbrake him down at turn 1. Magnussen, though, we know he's going to fight it, but he can't fight it enough. Up into P9 now as Piastri and Perez right in front of me. Whoa, Oscar Piastri, they're very, very slow as we make our way in towards the middle sector. And you know what? We'll say thank you very much around the outside. I mean, if we get back to Gasly here, this two-stop has really been a success this afternoon. 3 seconds up to the Alpine car. I know we've been a little bit helped, of course, based on how much these guys have been duking it out. But, of course, they were also dragged along by Lewis Hamilton for a handful of laps as well then. But out of the final corner, Sergio Perez then. Again, another car with some tremendous straight-line speed, but another car with no DRS either. Perez weaves back to the inside. Round the outside we'll go. Use plenty of battery as we make our way towards turn 1, but Checo admits defeat. And next up, Pierre there as Charles Leclerc still applying pressure to Verstappen at the front. This could be huge for the world title. 5 laps to go then, and dare I say it, the gap to Lewis Hamilton still coming down rather aggressively at the moment. Are we going to be able to get a run on Pierre as we head down the Esquido de Largo to the outside of the Alpine? Oh, a little bit of wheel bang in there as we try to swoop round him, but we make it through. No harm, no foul. And now 4.8 seconds to Lewis. Yellow's out. Someone's got issues late on in the day as we don't get a good run at Zheng Sao. That looks to be Nick de Vries falling to the wayside. And a bit too late for a safety car here, which is unfortunate for us because that could have worked out beautifully. But Hamilton, the gap 3 seconds with 3 laps remaining. 2 laps to go then, and the gap to Lewis, 2 seconds now. I was never expected to be within a fight with the Merc towards the end of this race, but this two-stop has worked out beautifully as Charles Leclerc still just sat behind Max Verstappen. Is he waiting to go for a last-ditch attempt move on the Dutchman? Oh, we are really starting to struggle with traction as we round the final corner to start the last lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix there. Verstappen and Leclerc still going at it at the front of the field, but we just can't quite get close enough to Lewis here. Here goes Charles Leclerc down the inside of the Dutchman, though, as we head down in towards turn 4, and that could be huge for the championship. Leclerc trying to give himself any chance he has, and of course it helps George Russell out, as Verstappen won't be able to walk away with as many points there. Verstappen powerless to Charles Leclerc after he's ran probably one of the best races of his Formula 1 career. He felt a bit backed into a wall after Saturday. Like the whole of the Formula 1 paddock was against him at the moment, but Charles Leclerc again come Sunday, he got undercut. He had to hope that Ferrari had got the strategy right on that set of the hard tyres rather than the mediums, and they have fallen off right towards the very end. Charles Leclerc rounding Zheng Sao then. I'm not even sure, I don't know mathematically whether it'll actually keep him in the title fight or not, but Charles Leclerc is going to come through to win the Brazilian Grand Prix there, and any chance I had on Lewis, gone. gone in an instant there, as that's going to be a warning for exceeding track limits and actually open up a fantastic run out of the final corner on our fellow Brit. George Russell will come through for P3 there. So Verstappen, I don't think, can be too gutted, but we're going to walk away with a pretty decent 6th.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari. So let's review the drivers' standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders, who lose ground at the top of the table. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc on the final lap takes the dub away from Max Verstappen. George Russell from this weekend actually scores equal points with the Dutchman as well, though I got a little bit confused for 1 second. But yeah, the Dutchman P2 ahead of Russell, Sainz ahead of Hamilton and myself, they're best of the rest in 6th place, beating out Gasly, Perez, Ocon, Magnussen even, and Oscar Piastri. Lawson, to be fair to him, another decent result in P14. He seems to have pulled away from the back markers there, which you absolutely love to see. But it does mean championship-wise, that win was critical for Charles Leclerc there. It is now a 3-horse race as we head into Vegas next weekend there. Charles Leclerc, he needs to win both Grand Prix if he wants any chance at the crown. And of course, yeah, I hope that Verstappen fails to score. But yeah, George Russell 38 points back. Max Verstappen could very, very easily be a world champion next weekend as we head into Vegas there, where of course he famously lost the World Championship last season. Piastri, we've re-jumped him. We're back into 7th place overall in the championship fight as well, so we have still got a lot to play for in the last couple of races, and constructors-wise, all but locked up now for us in P5 there. I mean, the gap at the top, though, 33 points between Mercedes and Red Bull as well. That is all still coming down to the wire. And I mean, if Ferrari ran a perfect couple of weekends, maybe they could try and close in the gap as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video as always. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well. And we will be back very, very soon where Formula One returns next time to Vegas. You guys do not want to miss that.